Some cards in Clash Royale are absolute garbage. Let's find out why. We'll start off with the Barbat at a usage and clean win rate of 0%. This brings us to reason number 1, mediocre stats for the cost. For 6 elixir, you get a building that gets countered by poison or earthquake, spawns 3 clunked up barbarians that quickly die to spawn, splash damage, and are very slow every 15 seconds, and upon death, it summons 1 barbarian. It is easy to say that it is better to go for pretty much any other building in the game, because not only will they be cheaper, but they will do this defensive role better. Similar cards include the Barbarians, which can literally be countered by a Bomber, giving you a -3 elixir trade, hence why their usage rate is 0% and they have a pathetic 39% win rate. Most of the time, when you play these cards, you end up with a negative elixir trade, and that is something you definitely do not want. And it's generally not worth it to play those cards. It's better to save that deck slot for a better card that actually does its job instead of just failing and giving your opponents an advantage. The best way to balance them is by simply giving them buff. This is probably one of the easiest cards to balance in terms of the bad cards, although next we will find cards with more interesting cases. We find the Mirror at a 0% usage rate and a 46% win rate, which brings us to reason number 2, too dependent on certain cards. It is an established rule that Mirror is only good when there is a broken card dominating the meta. Otherwise, Mirror stays garbage unless you want to troll with your friend in 2v2 using Mirror Clone Goblin Barrel. It is never worth it to use Mirror on a balanced card because the elixir penalty renders the card useless. I mean, imagine if skeletons were 2 elixir, would you play them? This is the exact reason why you always see Mirror at a 0% usage rate, because there isn't a card that carries Mirror unless it's extremely overpowered. Similar cards include the Battle Healer at a 1% usage rate and a 45% win rate, and the Elixir Golem at a 3% use rate and a 47% win rate. These two cards have always been tied up to each other throughout their history. It's like some love story. Whenever Elixir Golem is good, Battle Healer is, and whenever Battle Healer is bad, Elixir Golem is bad. Sadly, there are too many cards that feel like they were meant for each other, and this just makes it extremely hard to balance them. The only legit way is to rework one of them so that this bond between them will break and they will finally be independent from each other. Let's move on to the next card, which is going to be the Rune Giant at a 0% usage and clean win rate. This brings us to reason number 3. Extremely niche. Literally the only reason to use Rune Giant is with cards that have an extremely fast attack speed. And this already makes your deck look pretty cursed, because why would you put Dart Goblin and Firecracker and Hunter in the same deck? On release, Rune Giant was garbage. She was overbuffed to be broken only with Firecracker and Hunter, and then later she got nerfed to absolute oblivion, and now no one uses her. She just wastes a deck slot and makes your whole deck revolve around her, and it ends up with a pretty cursed deck. Similar cards include the Void at a 0% use rate and a 44% win rate. Void can only work if your opponent doesn't defend, otherwise your opponent always has, reflexes, and ends up rendering the Void useless. And back to the Rune Giant, the thing is, as I said, she can't work with most cards in Clash Royale, especially ones that hit very slow. Plus, her gimmick now is pretty weak. The only way to balance these cards is to absolutely rework them, otherwise they will only work in those extremely specific situations, so they're pretty tough to balance. And the next card on our list will be the Phoenix, surprise surprise, at a 1% usage rate and a 44% win rate. So, reason number 4 is severe competition. Why would you use a Phoenix when you have Mega Minion at a 4% use rate, although a 48% win rate? We all remember Phoenix on release in October 2022. It was one of the most busted cards of all time because not only could it survive lightning, but the egg would pretty much always hatch if you didn't defend it, because the Princess Tower wouldn't do enough damage. Also, it just boxed out every single other air unit from the competition, including the Mega Minion, and this was the first time Mega Minion sucked. But now, the tables have turned. Phoenix is pretty much seen nowhere, and the video you're seeing right now was recorded 2 months ago. The thing is, why would you pick Phoenix when you have Mega Minion? Because most of the time, Phoenix's egg does not hatch at all, so the main gimmick of the card doesn't really work. Similar cards include the Magic Archer at a 0% usage rate and a 35% win rate. Why would you use Magic Archer when you have Musketeer, maybe Executioner with the evolution, maybe the Evolved Wizard right now because it's working with Royal Giant? Otherwise, why would you use Magic Archer? Skill doesn't necessarily mean meta. Those cards typically need buffs so they can survive the competition. Next up, we have the Mega Knight at a 0% use rate and a 50% win rate. This case is obvious. Reason number 5 is Noob Stomper. Noob Stomper cards, as the name suggests, are cards that only work against casuals, but in top play they're used nowhere. That's because the card has mechanics that counter mistakes noobs do. For example, most noobs like to cram their cards together while doing a push, which gives Mega Knight splash damage value. Similar cards include the Wizard at a 0% usage rate and a 37% win rate. Wizard also suffers from the whole competition thing, but Mega Knight, in top play, most people just counter him with Skeletons, Ice Spirit, and casuals can't really counter him because he's often 3 levels higher than their cards, rendering most interactions different. These type of cards are the hardest to balance because buffing them would only make casuals' lives worse, and nerfing them would make them even more unviable in top ladder. One card that was saved from being a Noob Stomper was the Bowler. Back then he used to cost 6 elixir, but now that he costs 5, he is a healthy anti-meta card. You should have expected the next card. It's the 3 Musketeers at a 1% use rate and a 48% win rate. This is reason number 6. Outdated. The thing is, as long as big spells exist in Clash Royale, 3 Musketeers will never be viable. And also the whole small spell plus big spell combo. 3 Musketeers gets really countered easily. Even if you run a full Fireball bait deck, they won't really work, because they cost a hefty 9 elixir, and a 4 elixir poison absolutely shuts them down. The Clash Royale should literally remove big spells and splash damage in general, just so 3 Musketeers can have an ounce of viability. Similar cards include the Skeleton Army at a 2% use rate and the 48% win rate. As long as people run small spells, Skeleton Army will be useless. These cards probably need the biggest rework because otherwise they would just stay as an intruder to the game. And the last card on our list will be the Night Witch at a 3% use rate and a 46% win rate. And reason number 7, the last reason why a card is bad, is too meta dependent. Although Golem is doing pretty well right now, at an acceptable 8% usage rate, you only see Night Witch in that outdated E-Golem deck. You might find her in Giant Graveyard or some Golem decks, but not really. I mean, Fisherman has an 8% usage rate, so Beatdown is kind of meta. Where's Night Witch? The thing is, Beatdown has to be the only meta thing. Then Night Witch will become viable. I mean, we know what happened in March 2017 when Night Witch was released. Everything was just Golem Beatdown and maybe that weird Ice Golem Night Witch Mirror Clone deck. The meta isn't entirely Beatdown right now. There are other things such as Royal Giant, Log Bait, Graveyard. So the meta isn't entirely Beatdown, so Night Witch can't have her funfair. In March 2017, as I said, the meta was pretty much only Beatdown, so Night Witch was extremely broken at a 41% usage rate. Similar cards, I couldn't really find similar cards except for one, which is Battle Ram at a 0% usage rate. Battle Ram is entirely dependent on bridge spam. If your bridge spam is meta, then Battle Ram has a chance, or sometimes you don't even see Battle Ram, you might see Ram Rider. And the best way to save the card, you can't. there are bound to be cards that are directly tied to a meta. Any bait card, as long as log bait is still broken, those bait cards will never die. So, just comment down below a bad card you would like to see being buffed, and I'll maybe include that in a video of reworking bad cards, and I'll see you in the next one.